Kendra with Trust TV, and I'm back with another video. I'm gonna play this real quick and then give my commentary. This is for educational purpose only. This is just I'm just giving my commentary on this situation. He's talking about the critical race theory.
How to dislike each other. It's pretty much what's gonna all come down to. You gonna deliberately teach kids this white kid right here got it better than you because he white? You gonna personally tell a white kid, oh,
and it's not true.
All down suppressed. How do I have 2 medical degrees if I'm sitting here oppressed? How do I get no mom, no dad in the house? Work my way through college. Sat there and hustle my butt off and get through college. You gonna tell me somebody look like all y'all white folks kept me from doing that? Are you serious? Not one white person ever came to me and said, well, son, we never get to work because you know the black people. Well, how did
I ain't never had that either.
You gonna sit here and tell me this lie of critical race theory? This is what we come to now. I can't believe we even talking.
But this is what I mean. And I never understood certain racism. And I talk about micro racism in another video. The power and some of the power that is racist is very jealous. They want us to experience something that's not real, period. So this idea that white supremacy has always trumped black folk is a lie. Even the very way they teach history, they're not reversing anything. They're creating something that never was. So, and what do I mean by that? Let's go back into the early, I want to say 1700s. Again, everybody knows the first, well, I can go back further, but let's say the first migrants prior to the Slavic race, the so-called white people that came to America. We know the conquistadors, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the English, Europeans were brown-skinned nobility. They were wealthy folk. The Scottish, the Irish, these were dark-skinned, brown-skinned people. They were not Slavic white folk. Okay, people say, well, Slavic is white people are Slavics, right? They were in the Ottoman slave trade, okay? They were peons, okay? They were enslaved for many years. You will hear about the Russians, Italian, the so-called now Italians that are Slavics. You'll hear about them gaining freedom in the 1940s, gaining this, Slavics gaining freedom in 1865 when slavery was abolished, for context sake. So I want people to understand that a lot of stuff that they tell you about history never took place. And they're trying to recreate a hierarchy that never really was. And how they're doing this is by imposing critical race theory, right? Because it wasn't ever like this. So in the Dark Ages, blacks ruled. Brown-skinned people ruled over the Dark Ages. Well all the way into the 1800s, and finally lost foot during the time of Reconstruction in the Renaissance era in Europe, I believe, if I'm saying that right. And so during the time of Reconstruction, is when the deconstruction of black civilization started to fall, and whites started to, through treachery in America a lot and throughout the globe, is when they started to come into what we consider power, right? And through treachery is the way this was done. They would bomb, again, you guys already know, they would bomb our stuff, set it afire, lynching and stealing of inventions and things of that nature, lands and so forth and so on. So it has never been, oh, white man's been up, black man's been down. As a matter of fact, black men, so-called black men, have always been up. They always had wealth. They were always intelligent, always inventing, always doctors, always clergymen, always leaders. It was never a time where a white man was, as a matter of fact, white people did not have anything well into the 1920s. And this is what is not talked about, right? They didn't have a pot to piss in our window to throw it at us. And so this critical race theory is perpetuating lies. It's perpetuating a history that's not even true. And I love what this man says, this so-called black man says. We was like, ain't no white man ever told me I couldn't do it. They may have thought about it. They may have tried to, put it subliminally through social media outlets and through the movies and the music industries, but not everybody. I'm not saying it couldn't have happened, but some black people never experienced a white person ever saying nothing like that to them, saying they couldn't make it because they black, because that's just stupid, right? If you have the ability, you're gonna make it. I don't care what race you are. Is there things that are oppressing in America? Yes. There are things that are like not being able to wear your hair, being stopped by police officers for any stupid reason under the sun, unfairly prosecuted or not prosecuted correctly when hurt or harm come to you from another race. Those oppressions do exist. But as far as success, there is a cap on our money. I spoke about this before, a cap on black money where they'll allow you to, and when I say allow, I mean like they won't hinder you. They will not hinder you to climb a certain corporate ladder, but if they feel like you're getting too high, they will either blackmail somebody to either kill you, lie about you, call you a rapist, call you a killer, call you something, to put a cap on your money so that you could get sued and give your money away or not leave anything to your family members or loved ones. There's a cap on the money. And there's also omitting information so that you don't have the ability to know right off back certain information is withheld from you. But if you read and if you desire to, that information can be given to you. So, there are certain oppressions, but overall, our success is up to us, and it has nothing, and white people cannot stop that. They can hinder it, right? Because like I said, just got done saying, but ain't never been no white person that been like, oh, because your people are predisposition. We ain't predisposition no more than anybody else. Critical race theory creates this ideology that white people are better than black people and more successful, when that's not even historically fact. There's nothing backing any of these ideologies other than the desire to lie to the masses about a history that never took place. White people were never over black folk. They were never white slave masters that beat and whipped black folk. It was not. I'm certain that there could have been a couple of white owners, but again, white people were poor, peasant poor. That's why Martin Luther King, and this was in the 1960s, where Martin Luther King literally said that they undergird their white peasants. Key word there is peasants, with an economic floor, right? So if they were all wealthy, what peasants would there be that are white? You get what I mean? Who owned our people. Make it make sense, y'all. Make it mean how they go from owning our people to being white peasants. You get what I'm saying? They did not have that wealth. All the times where you think in the 1700, 1600, 1800, where they telling you that these white people are over you, that is a lie. That was a fake, fictitious lie that they made up. Excuse me. And now they're trying to act it out or create the mind in our children so that our children can live a reality that was not even historically true. White people were peasants. White people were enslaved during the same times that we had been enslaved from the Spanish and the Portuguese. When it was outlawed to enslave the American Indian, some Spaniards came over again from the Spanish Inquisition that was exiled to Portugal and Spain. They came as slaves. Some black European, English, Scottish, they came as slaves or servants of the royal crown, and they came over here to explore for new lands and new crops and so forth and so on, and enslaving many of the American Indian. But at the same time, once that labor was no longer necessary, they started getting slaves from the Philippines, from Asia. They started getting slaves from, the white folk from Northern Europe and so forth. And that's how you got in 1820 some of these Slavics coming over here with the promise of a new life, a new world for them, but an old world for us, right? So I want people to understand that they're trying to make history where it was not and has never been, and that's white kids are better than black kids and all that. It's never been. White people were slaves just like so-called brown black people were slaves. You know what I mean? Asian people were slaves. Everybody has been enslaved at a point in time in history. Yes, in the Americas. point blank, period. Some of our so-called black folks, some of our ancestors were slave owners. So you have to take into consideration, not every black person was poor. As a matter of fact, if you look back, a lot of our family members owned land, businesses, and property. So y'all have to be careful on this critical race theory, because it's fake. It's fictitious, right? It's to segregate and to divide and conquer with this whole teaching white kids that they're more predisposed. They know more predisposition to make it than anybody else. You understand me? If you raise your kids upright and get them the proper education, I see there are a lot of graduates of black boys and girls, just medical schools, clergymen, congressmen, so forth and so on. And we've always had that. So I want people to understand that. Anyway, this was just me going on it because I didn't like what was being said about this critical race theory. It's just plain BS, and it's just white supremacy turned on its ear. It's trying to create this narrative that children don't need. When they first taught us in school about slavery, they would call it social arts. And I never understood why we would have history in social arts, and it was technically the same thing. And in social arts, you're talking about slavery. And that I didn't realize that they were basically trying to create a social, it was a mind game. It was to make you think that you were less than a white kid. And and I'm telling you, if any of history was true the way you say, then why do you need to do it like that? You get what I mean? If any of what you're saying is true, then why all these mind games? It's not true. White people have never been, or an Asian, Hispanic, and have never ever been proven, I don't care what it is, have never been able to be proven to be better than so-called black people. It's never then. And it's not saying that we better than them. No, it's nobody's better than nobody, point blank, period. You all die. There's no immortality. And even if you was immortality, you will go to hell for that immortality. So technically, in the end, shame on you, right? So at the end of the day, it makes absolutely no sense. The critical race theory is trash and it needs to be discarded. Real truth about history needs to be put out, and not all this garbage, this revamped garbage to create a fictitious white supremacy, which is just somebody with an inferiority complex that needs to feel like they're better than the next person, because the desire to be better than somebody else outweighs most people's humanity. This is Kendra with True Us TV. Stay up, stay blessed. Put God first above all else, in peace. Bye.